Hey, it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Wednesday, June 8th. So today we do have the moon moving out of Virgo, moving into Libra energy. The moon will be going void, of course, around 8:09 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and will be locking into Libra energy 11:24 a.m. So here's the thing. We come out of the moon in Virgo, which was very grounding, super helpful. We were able to analyze and identify some of the thoughts, some of the emotions that are coming up within us, illuminating to us what isn't working for us, what is really a problem for us. And hopefully we would have come up with some aha moments, some solutions, some details that will help us get out of the funk, get out of the situation, get out of the circumstances that we've now identified we've outgrown. Coming into Libran energy. Libra energy is an air energy, so we're in Gemini season, an air season. So this is going to be air on air. There's going to be a lot of thought processing, but the Libra energy seeks for peace and balance and harmony, seeks for a little bit more socialization, a little bit more of a social exchange, mostly because Libran energy likes to look outside of us for validation on what we got going on in our inner realm. But we also have to understand that the Libran energy finds that peace, finds that stability, finds that balance by illuminating to us the extreme points of view, the extreme thoughts, the extreme feelings. And because we're in Gemini season, that tends to illuminate for us the extreme choices, decisions, paths, and directions that we're currently being presented with, because we have to choose. We're in a new cycle. We got to choose. This is going to be a very pressurized system in the mental plane, in the heart space. We are going to have a couple of days of this very intense, let's call it reevaluation, restabilization, reorganization of our thoughts and of our feelings, getting our heart and our head on the same page. So when we move into the moon being in Libra, we're very focused on our relationships. Again, eclipse season really rocked our relationships. And many of us are unsure what we want to do, whether we want to heal certain relationships, cut them off altogether, whether we're starting fresh, what we need to do within ourselves in order to prepare us for basically opening up our heart and our head to new like-minded people. We need to see where it is in our heart and in our head where the extremes are alive and well in order for us to channel all of our energy, time, attention, and focus on stabilizing our thoughts, our emotions, especially where relationships are concerned. So there are 8 different aspects here today. All of them involve the moon. We talked about this in the ascension forecast for the week, where we had 3 days this week that were all moon ruled. This is one of them. If you haven't listened to the ascension forecast for the week, I'm going to recommend you go do that. And we have to understand that yesterday we just had our first quarter moon in Virgo. This is the first quote unquote action point in this lunar cycle. Of course, the new moon in Gemini on May 30th initiated this new lunar cycle, and we took action. We made a move. We had an aha moment on the direction that we are going to take from here. Now, we have a couple of aspects still with the moon in Virgo before we go void, of course. And then when we move into the moon in Libra, we're really going to start analyzing what it is that is most extreme in our thoughts, in our emotions, in our relationships, in order for us to focus on that over the next couple of days so that we can create more stability, more peace, more harmony within ourselves. So the moon in Virgo still is going to make an aspect with Saturn, who is now retrograde in Aquarius energy. If you have not listened to the astro forecast that I put out for Saturn going retrograde in Aquarius, please go ahead and do so. Even if you did listen to it, it wouldn't hurt you to continue to refresh your mind on every single topic and theme that we can expect for the next 4.5 months with Saturn in a retrograde. Every single time Saturn interacts with another planet or a luminary, we have to kind of refresh ourselves on what the mission is for Saturn being in a retrograde. The moon in Virgo bumping into Saturn in a retrograde at this particular point in time is gifting us with an opportunity to learn, to grow, to expand, to do better. Now, what are we doing better with? Well, we're recognizing the roles and responsibilities that we have in our life that essentially we've outgrown. Saturn, of course, being the Lord of Karma, is trying to show us where new systems, foundations, routines, structures need to be built in our lives in order to align us with the vision, with the dream, with the goal that we actually want to manifest. Many of us have a hard time letting go of the past, letting go of old roles and responsibilities and commitments because we feel like the people in our lives want us to continue to do that. Aquarian energy is more concerned with the happiness, the roles, the responsibilities of the collective, of other people. We have to consider what sits across from the Aquarian energy, which is Leo energy, which means that the Leo energy wants us to follow our heart, do what is right for us, even if it makes other people sad. The moon in Virgo right now is very grounded, very down to earth, analyzing the details of our thought process, of our emotions, on how it is that we're currently thinking and feeling about some of the commitments that we've made, some of the roles and responsibilities that we're currently in, and what it would mean for us and the other people involved if we were to say, you know what, this is no longer in alignment with me, this is not making me happy, this is sucking the life out of me, I am going to step away from certain roles and responsibilities, certain commitments, certain relationships even, and be firm enough, be strong enough to stand that boundary, to stand that ground, to honor yourself and not let the disappointment, the sadness, the whatever negative ass feeling, the guilt, if you will, coming in from other people to sway you off what you know to be true. This is a learning opportunity. So this is likely putting us in a position where the weight of the roles and responsibilities that we currently have in life are weighing very heavily on our shoulders, on our headspace, on our heart space, really creating a lot of anxiety within us, and where it is that we are being called to detach, disconnect from certain roles and responsibilities to free us. Aquarian energy, freedom, liberation, independence, in order for us to do what is right for ourselves. The moon is going to oppose, sit across from Neptune, who is in Pisces. Virgo energy and Pisces energy sits across from one another in the zodiac wheel. The Virgo energy, very healing. Pisces energy, very healing, but in two different realms, in two different realities. The Virgo energy is focused on this physical realm. It's an earth energy. So we're focused on what can we fix, what can we solve, what can we heal in our physical realm, in our physical body, in our physical relationships, in our physical circumstances. The Piscean energy wants to heal on a karmic level, on a soul level, on an emotional level. And a lot of the time, we are out of balance between what we are doing spiritually and emotionally versus what we're doing physically and mentally. Physically and mentally is the earth energy of Virgo. Emotionally and intuitionally and spiritually is the Piscean energy. This opposition is putting us at a pass because the Virgo energy wants to focus in on the details. The Pisces energy doesn't care about the details. Everything mushes together. There are no boundaries. There are no rules. The Virgo energy wants to do a deep dive into the details of our heart space, of our head space, and analyze the shit out of them. The Piscean energy just wants to go with the flow, man, just wants to check out. We don't even really want to deal with the truth of the matter, the reality of the situation. We just want to float off into la la land, dream, vision, tap into creativity, see what inspires us in our inner realm. The moon in Virgo, though, not having it. Why? Because living in la la land is actively putting off the action, the moves that we need to make in the here and now in order to align with the vision and the dreams that living in la la land make us so happy to think and feel. So the moon opposing Neptune right now, this is going to be an inner conflict for sure, because emotionally speaking, we want to be able to clearly identify, articulate, zone in on what we need to do in our physical realms in order to align with the path of our passion, of our inspiration, of our desire. Neptune in Pisces, although it's great for creativity, for dreaming, for soul work, for soul contracts, for our intuition, for our emotion, What it's not so good for is escapism. What it's not so good for is focusing in on the details. What it's not so good for is staying in the moment, in the here and now, in our physical reality, and dealing with life as it is instead of the way that we wish it would be. So we are going to have to kind of work very hard to balance those energies in order to not lose ourselves totally to the la-la land that is calling us very loud and clear, so that emotionally speaking, we can feel safe and secure, in control and productive in the here and now, so that we can actively start making moves, get a plan together, a strategy together on what it is that we need to do to clean up the mess of our lives and to be in a comfy zone where we're able to heal certain aspects of the here and now so that we can start bringing in elements of the dreamland that we're so happy to live in. We want to be able to manifest it, but you got to do the work in the here and now in order to actually create the space for our dreams and visions to actually be built in the physical realm in which we're currently living in. The moon will trine Mercury. Trine is a good energy. Mercury, again, ruler of the mental plane, ruler over information, communication, how it is that we express ourselves. Now direct, still in the post-shadow period up until the 18th, in Taurus energy, which means that we're very much fixated on what it is that we got to do. The new ideas that we have, what we got to build, what we got to fix, where we need to tweak routines, where it is that we have to communicate confidently and with clarity on what it is that we are no longer willing to tolerate, what it is that we need to speak into existence. The moon in Virgo, earth energy. Mercury in Taurus, earth energy. So what we are doing here, moon is our emotions, our heart space. Mercury is our head space. What we're doing here, trining, so we're blending these two together. We're getting on the same page and we're getting our heart and head in agreement. Why is that important? Because we got to get our heart and head in agreement before we can actually go ahead and take action, make a move using our physical bodies to go ahead and bring to life the elements that we're now really debating in our lives, the ideas that we're having, the thoughts that we're having, the emotions we're experiencing. We got to bring them to life. We got to bring them out of our body. But again, many of us have had a hard time even trying to identify what's going on in our inner realm, let alone be able to actually articulate it and speak it outside of our bodies. This is going to help us get very clear on what it is that we're thinking and feeling, what it is that we need to kind of talk about, what it is that we need to focus on in our physical realms, what it is that we need to bring to life, what it is we have to pour more time, energy, focus, and attention into building. So the moon is going to bump into Venus. Venus, as you know, is in Taurus energy, in her place of power, very focused on the here and now, where it is in the present moment, reliant on the physical five senses to figure out what makes us happy, what doesn't make us happy, what brings us joy, what doesn't bring us joy, what brings us a sense of pleasure, what does not bring us a sense of pleasure, where it is that we do not feel safe, we do not feel secure, we do not feel stable. Now that could be in our own self-worth, our own self-confidence. That could be in a particular relationship dynamic. That could be in our financial state with the resources that we currently have. But what we know to be true is that the moon in Virgo, earth energy, and Venus in Taurus, earth energy, we're very focused on what we can do in the here and now to provide ourselves with a little bit more emotional safety and security for us to be able to enjoy what we have to enjoy in the here and now, regardless of whether or not we're happy with our circumstances and regardless of not whether or not we want them to change. This is going to be in an emotional aha moment on what it is that we actually want, need, and desire. And a lot of that, again, is coming to light, coming into clarity, because now Mercury is direct. We're starting to piece things together. We're starting to think a little bit more clearly. We're able to identify the emotions that are coming up in us, the thoughts that are coming up in us, and whether or not they're guiding us to move away from certain aspects in order for us to move closer to certain elements that will provide us with what it is that we're currently identifying that we lack. The moon will be trining Pluto. This is the last aspect that the moon in Virgo is going to make before going void, of course, and making its way into Libra energy. This is also a very powerful aspect, reason being the moon in Virgo, earth energy. Pluto, retrograde in Capricorn, earth energy. Virgo, Taurus, and Capricorn are all earth energies. They're all interrelated. They're all sister signs. And, for the most part, we've had a lot of earth energy going on. Why is that? Well, because we just came out of eclipse season where there's been some karmic divine scripts thrown at us, kind of rearranging our lives on the path that we need to be instead of the path that we were currently walking. And now that we're in this new moon Gemini energy, in Gemini season, where we have choices to make, decisions to make, directions and paths to choose upon, we have to focus on our physical circumstances in the here and now. This earth energy makes us feel the heaviness, the weight of our physical circumstances so that we can figure out what it is that's working for us, what it is that isn't working for us. The Virgo energy analyzes our emotions, analyzes our thoughts, analyzes our physical circumstances to see what we like, what we don't like, what it is that needs to be fixed, what it is that needs to be healed. The Capricorn energy helps us to see where it is that we need to boss the F up and take control over certain aspects in our physical lives. Pluto, again, the great transformer, doing a deep dive in a retrograde, looking back on all the times that we failed ourselves, failed to stand up for ourselves, failed to advocate for ourselves, failed to stand in the spotlight of our own freaking movies, and then had the audacity to complain when the ending didn't turn out the way that we had desired. This is a huge boss up move for us to realize that we are in control of our lives. We have to be. We've been all along, but many of us, again, continue to give the power outside of ourselves. And again, get very disappointed when things don't go our way. This is another aha moment in our emotional field, in our mental field, reflecting back on the past, bringing it into the present moment, recognizing where it is that we want to go in the future for us to get a grip on the here and now. What do you have control over in the here and now? Look at all the things you don't have control over, and then recognize the things that you do have control over. Focus on that. The more you gain confidence, the more you gain stability doing the things that you have control over, the more control you gain over the elements that you currently feel out of control with. This is a huge aha moment. This is a huge inner psyche transformation. This is a huge awareness that we're bringing to the surface of our consciousness so that we can feel more in power. At this point, this is when the moon goes void of course, 8:09 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The moon moves into Libra, 11:24 a.m. We don't have our next aspect until 1:40 p.m. The moon in Libra, very first aspect out of the gate, making a very positive aspect with Saturn, who is retrograde in Aquarius. We're in Gemini season, air energy. We have the moon in Libra, air energy. We have Saturn in a retrograde in Aquarius, air energy. What do you think is going to happen? We're about to do some heavy mental processing. The moon in Libra just wants to find balance. How do we find balance? We have to explore the extremes. What are we finding the extremes on? Well, the roles and responsibilities that we've outgrown that are weighing very heavily on our shoulders. The lessons, the tough love life lessons that we've gone through over the last 12 months, pushing us into a new territory where we have to boss up if we want a different outcome. That's where we're at. We're looking for peace. We're looking for love. We're looking for harmony. We're looking for stability. But many of us are learning where it is in our lives that we lack all that. That's where the work is needed. That's where the perspective is needed. That is where the attention is needed the most. The moon in Libra is going to bump into Uranus, who is in Taurus. Uranus is the great awakener. But here's the thing. This particular energy isn't the best. What it does for us is it creates a little bit of emotional chaos. That's what happens when we look at our emotions and our thoughts in order to explore the extremes. And we need, again, I sound like I'm on a broken record repeating myself here, but we need chaos before we gain clarity. We need to break down before we have the breakthrough. Uranian energy being in Taurus is shaking up our physical circumstances where our self-worth is concerned, our routines are concerned, our relationships are concerned, our finances are concerned, in order for the cracks in the foundation to be exposed so that we can go ahead and start filling them, stabilizing the foundation so that we can get to work, bringing to life new elements, topics, and themes that our dreams and our visions are now so passionately pushing us to pursue. The moon in Libra bumping into Uranus at this particular point in time needs to show you where the scales are out of balance, needs to show you where it is that you feel the most chaos, where you feel the most out of control, in order for you to recognize what needs your attention the most, where we need to do the repair, where we need to fill the cracks in the foundation first and foremost. The moon is going to sit across from Jupiter. Now, let me tell you about this. Jupiter is the planet of growth and expansion. He's constantly pushing us to grow, right? He's also the planet of belief. He's also the planet of abundance and blessings. We only get the blessings and the rewards and the abundance after we rise to the occasion, we rise to the challenge to grow and expand our mindset, to expand our opportunities. And we do so by the belief that we have in ourselves, the faith that we have, the trust that we have in ourselves and in the universe. Now, Jupiter is fresh into Aries energy. If you need a reminder on what Jupiter in Aries is all about, please go back and listen to the astro forecast. This is the first time we've been in this energy for 12 years. We are basically setting the cornerstone foundations down for the next 12 years of opportunity. And Libra energy sits across from Aries energy. Aries energy is the initiator, the beginning, very much the ego, the identity, the self. In Aries energy, we're concerned with, what do I want? What do I need? What do I desire? What's best for me? In Libra energy is about others, about the team, about the unit, about the partnership, not necessarily willing to put the individual wants, needs, and desires of our own individual selves at the top of the list, because Libran energy is a people-pleasing energy that tends to put other people's wants, needs, and desires in front of everybody else's. And then technically has the audacity later to feel guilt and resentment towards these people, even though they were the ones that put these people before themselves. I digress. The moon in Libra, sitting across from Jupiter, who is in Aries, who just wants to initiate and begin a new cycle, create new beginnings and opportunities of abundance for oneself. This particular energy is almost like Jupiter wants to illuminate what we want more of. Right? The moon in Libra is showing us the extremes that we have to work on in order to establish peace, balance, and harmony and love in our lives, right? And very focused also on the relationship dynamics of who we are in accordance to the relationships that we have. Jupiter shows us what we want more of, very much trying to show us the big picture of the vision, the dream, the goal that we very much want to bring into fruition, bring into reality, bring into manifestation. The issue that's going to come up in this particular aspect is that we recognize so freaking badly what we're lacking in our here and now, that we project ourselves in the future, because that's what feels good in La La Land when we have this dream and vision on what it is that we want to create. But the problem is that we tend to commit, especially to other people in our personal relationships, based off of the potential that we believe to be true in a futuristic realm, and not based off of the qualities, the characteristics, the actual resources that we have in the here and now. What this is going to do is put us in a position where we tend to overcommit, where we tend to get overwhelmed with all the things that we don't have, all the things that we feel like we need to put individually, our own wants, needs, and desires on the back burner in order to make other people happy. And where it is that because we are living in extremes right now, in order to find the balance point, we're actually going to be borrowing our time, energy, passion, love, excitement from our futuristic dream and vision, and unrealistically rooted in the here and now. Now, this isn't about hope. This isn't about faith. One would say, well, isn't it good to be positive about the potential that you're able to create in the future and root that into the here and now? Isn't that how we manifest? Well, a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. Sounds to me a little bit delusional to go ahead and commit to a person, a role, an opportunity based off of what you think you can get in the future and not off of what you have to offer in the here and now. We got to be a little bit more grounded, people. We got to come into the here and now. Yes, it would be great to, tie ourselves into a role and responsibility, to a relationship, to a commitment, to whatever the case may be in the here and now, trusting that we are going to have what it is that we need in order to give to whatever commitment that we're aligning with in the here and now. But at the same time, we're setting ourselves up for disappointment and failure because there's a high probability that we might not be at the particular point in which we wish to be at in the future at the time that we're making these commitments in the here and now. Very much borrowing time, energy, inspiration, motivation, resources from the future to anchor into the here and now that likely will not manifest in time. So we have to be very careful with our energy here. We have to be very careful because the want, need, and desire to act now and deal with the consequences later is the Aries energy that Jupiter is currently in. And the problem with that is that if we commit now, if we bite off more than we can chew, we are going to have a mess to clean up because the consequences that we failed to think about in the here and now are going to bite us in the ass when we don't have the resources, we don't have the money, we don't have the energy, we don't have the inspiration, we don't have the motivation, when we don't even have the inclination to be as excited, to be as passionate as we currently are about something in the here and now, those energies fade very quickly in the Aries energy. Aries energy tends to burn itself out long before we ever reach the end goal. And because the moon in Libra just wants so freaking badly to find stability, to find connection and intimacy, love, passion, joy, happiness, pleasure in the here and now, especially emotionally, we have to be realistic in the here and now instead of constantly projecting ourselves in the future and making decisions in the here and now based off a fantasy that we hope to fulfill in a futuristic realm and reality. So overall, this particular energetic day is going to be about energy management, about awareness, about recognizing where it is that we have to dabble into the extremes before we stand a chance in hell of providing the kind of stability, peace, and balance that we so need and want and desire.